We're starting, so they got to try to find him again. Okay. Okay. All right. All right, so I'm posting this live. You can share it. And I'm just going to sort of like waste some time until he gets here. Try to get people in, so that's what I mean. If you can share it on the Coffee Common page. Because it's on my page. Hello, anybody?
Peter Giuliano on there. We should do, because he didn't have to be here to do it. If he has a video.
Yeah. He just has to join the. He's not even on Google Plus.
Oh.
So, yeah, we can get him on. We can definitely get him involved with stuff, but.
I think you just replied to the Google Plus. Or did you do that through email?
You can do it from email, but yeah.
If he has a newer MacBook, we could get him to do one remotely. That would be awesome.
Yeah, totally. But I mean, he can join. You know, he can join in and be a part of it at any second. But yeah, totally. Isn't he getting married today, though? I mean, that might be. Oh, there you go. He's finally on Google. Okay, he just signed up on Google Plus. Hey,
You know what else? The one annoying thing.
Yeah.
Are you on there?
I'm just waiting for people to join and for Mike to get here. Nobody's on yet.
For the Sprudge article?
Yeah.
The photo of paper cups.
I know, I saw that. That's pretty funny. We're talking about you, Peter. You can hear. Peter, you can click, if you're in this, you can actually click, look on your page and you should see one that says join this Hangout. I added you to the group, and you should be able to click join this Hangout. That's assuming you want to join this Hangout. And then you'll be able to have video and audio and jump in, and you'll be able to argue with Mike White about whatever he has to say as soon as he gets over here. He's getting a conversation with somebody else in the store right now, so that's why he's not here. Nobody else is in this Hangout though yet. Come on, guys. I know, it's just me. Boring.
Delay?
Yeah.
I hear them out of your mouth and 2 minutes later.
Chris Maddox. Hello.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine. How's it going?
Good, good. Hey, I watched your guys' Hangout yesterday after the fact.
Ah, fantastic. Sorry you weren't able to see it when it was live because it was super exciting.
Oh, wow, I got a really bad echo here. Let's see if I can fix this. Let me, I'm going to log off and log back in because it's a really bad. I'm going to try something different. I'll be right back.
Okay, sounds good.
Cool, thanks.
Hey, okay. No one's here yet.
Great. What do I do?
All right, so
Video chat?
yeah, just basically video chat. There'll be up to 10 people who can join. There's one guy who just was having a problem with his system, and he's jumping off and jumping back in. And we're just going to send a link everywhere, and so up to 10 people can join. It's really like a free-form chat. The buying coffee is loose. Yeah.
Audio?
It's audio. Yeah.
All audio.
All audio. Okay. No, it's video. And everything.
I mean,
yes.
what is not much
I'm back, guys.
No, typing. I'm typing it all. Yeah. Yeah. So. The sound doing it. Asking for the.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great. Can you hear me?
Cool. Yep, who's this?
My name is Mike.
Hi, Mike. Chris Maddox.
Okay, so
Hey, Chris.
we're gonna just hang out, just kind of like for a few minutes while we try to like pull other folks in, and then you can, like I said, it's fairly freeform. You know, it's a loose topic, but whatever you want.
Where are you?
Seattle.
Welcome to New York.
Yeah, I saw you guys' your Hangout yesterday. I watched it after the fact. The recorded it was really good.
Cool.
It seemed a lot of people were talking about espresso more so than coffee, I guess. Shots, doing shots.
Are you a home barista?
You know, I'm a home brewing virgin, I guess you could say.
Virgin. Okay.
Yeah. So I've got kids, young kids. So for me, it's time consuming. I don't have a lot of time, so I do use the easy, simple Keurig, which I've obviously tasted other coffee, and it's nothing compared to that, but it's quick and simple. And so I've been reading more and more about doing it and the different apparatuses to make it. So I'm kind of really curious. And when I found you guys, I think I found you through Gizmodo.
Okay.
An article about you, and so
Yep.
I kind of stumbled on and found the Hangouts and decided to listen in.
Welcome. In terms of ease of use, I like the Keurig really. I understand it's not. I understand its popularity. It's obviously
Sure.
not ideal, and we don't recommend it because it's not so fresh. And
Absolutely. Oh, I agree. I mean, I've had. Have you ever had coffee from Starbucks, the Clover system?
yep.
I like that a lot. That's really, really good coffee.
You could do something similar. That method uses vacuum technology
Right.
in large part, and you could do something similar with a device called an Aeropress, which I maybe would recommend because you can. It's like the Keurig. It's
I've seen the Aeropress.
you make one cup at a time.
Right.
It's all compact. It's good around children because if you drop it on the floor, it's plastic, so it won't shatter.
Right.
It's quick. It's easy. It takes me. I use an Aeropress almost every morning. It takes
Okay.
about two and a half minutes from start to finish. I might be able to. Do you have an Aeropress I can show?
Grab one.
Would you? You basically just grind your coffee, add your water, and it uses a plunger. So the Clover uses the reverse technology. It sucks the water through the bottom. With something like an Aeropress, you're plunging down. It's basically 3 pieces. Filter paper goes in there. So all you have to do is set it up like this, put the coffee in there, put a filter on top, flip it over, and plunge it into your cup.
Okay.
So it's a really good way to produce a single cup of coffee really quickly and easily.
Okay, and then in terms of, I've seen those demonstrated. I don't know if it was your guys' site or what, but there was a list of apparatuses that were really good, and that was one as well as the Chemex. Chemex, but that one was obviously, I think it made more so making half pot or pot of coffee, it seemed like.
Yeah, those are generally, well, they come in various sizes. Chemex is also a great way. It's a pour-over. So
Right.
there are different types of pour-overs. Chemex is one of the most iconic, and it's been around for a while. The papers are very thick, so it's easy to brew a cup of coffee that is very smooth and mild, or less astringent or bitter than maybe something that a smaller filter would have. Chemex would be a great choice. It's glass. It's beautiful.
In terms of...
I would say that...
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, in terms of getting a coffee that's similar to, like the Clover machine, you would recommend the Aeropress or the Chemex?
Aeropress.
Okay.
I think the Aeropress is a good way to go because of its durability and its simplicity and the ability for you to change, like experiment with many different coffees.
Okay.
Where are you buying? Where are you getting your coffee now?
Well, at the time, I probably, Starbucks is the only place I know of. Again, I'm real new to this in terms of what to buy, quality, and what. I mean, I know what I like the taste of, but in terms of how to buy, what to buy, and how to, what apparatus to use, I'm not as familiar with that.
There's some good roasters. You said you're in Seattle, right?
Yeah, I'm in just kind of north of Seattle. There's a, let's see, who would be up there? There's Cafe Ladro is a smaller roaster out here.
Yep, Ladro. There's also Zoka. There's Cafe Vita. There's a company called there's a new cafe called Milstead. It's owned by a guy named Andrew Milstead in Seattle. The most important thing though is to get it fresh. Coffee is like any other produce. It's got a shelf life. The fresher it is, the better it's going to be. I like my coffees younger than 10 days from the roaster, generally speaking. You lose a lot of the sweetness and brightness. It's great if you can find a local roaster. Get to know them, talk to them. Every roaster I've ever met is happy to talk to you about his coffee.
So in terms of roaster, you threw out a couple of names, but I mean, I think of roaster. So are you talking about just a coffee place that sells coffee, a barista place?
Yeah, I like to buy coffee from the people that actually roast it.
Okay.
And of course, there's a lot of people that do that. But you're in Seattle, and there's no reason why you could just get it locally. I mean, you could order it online, is what I'm saying. But there's a lot of good roasters in Seattle.
Okay. And then, in terms of grinding and all of that, what's your recommendation? One, apparatus. Two is, how much time?
Well, when you're brewing with the grinder, it's absolutely critical that you have coffee that's ground freshly. There's a lot of aromatics in coffee. Most of what you experience is the aroma in coffee. And you lose aroma pretty quickly after you grind it.
So in terms of...
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, in terms of apparatus and whatnot, what would you recommend?
For a grinder? A good solid bird grinder is what you want. There's many different types and models. And you could also get that. I'm sure some of these cafes in Seattle are selling these bird grinders. You could buy one on Amazon, but I'm sure you can pick it up pretty pretty easily in town.
So Burr
We
grinder.
have a lot of different models. Baratza makes a good model. We're using grinders made by Baratza here, as well as grinders made by Breville. And they've both been working really, really well for us.
Okay.
You could do a hand grinder. You could, Hario makes grinders that they look like little pepper mills.
Right.
And
Yeah,
they're
I've
great
seen
for
those.
travel. They're pretty durable.
Time-wise, though, it probably makes sense to
Those
use
are
an
great.
electric one.
Yep, electric grinder. I would start with Breville, which makes a lot of kitchenware,
Can you spell that?
and Baratza. Breville is Breville, and Baratza is Baratza, I believe.
Okay. And then in terms of time and how long you do it, is that something you just experiment with, or is there a certain standard length of time?
For grinding
Right.
or for brewing?
For grinding.
Well, grinding, I personally weigh out my coffee before I grind it. So I grind it until it's gone.
Oh, until it's gone. What do you mean by gone?
Well, I'll load up only the amount of coffee that I'm about to brew.
I guess what I meant is, in terms of how long do you grind it? I mean, is there a length of time that you grind it? So, I mean, you put the amount that you're going to use, but then you put it in the grinder and turn it on. How long are you supposed to run it?
It runs until all the coffee is ground. So if I'm going to make...
Oh, I know what you mean. I see what you mean now. It goes through a system and comes out. Okay, so that makes sense.
Right. So you add the coffee to the top of the grinder, and you remove it ground at the bottom.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So
Now it makes sense.
So I just load it with whatever precise amount that I'm going to brew, and then grind all of it.
And then are there different settings for the amount of fineness you would grind, or is it standard?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So depending on each method uses a slightly different grind.
So for an Aeropress, what do you usually recommend?
I use a pretty fine grind. Yeah, it takes a little bit of experimentation. Unfortunately, there's no universal language to describe grind size. So I can't tell you that I grind on a number 4 and have it translate easily to you.
Right.
Most of it is determined by taste. If you start to get too fine, the coffee will taste a little bit more astringent. You know you've gone just a little bit too far. And different methods like a Chemex, or a B60, which is another type of pour-over device. You can also use time to help determine the correct grind size. The finer the grind, the more resistance it offers to the water that passes through. So if the water takes a long time to pass through the grounds, then your grind is pretty fine. You're looking for a 3 to 4 minute range, generally speaking.
Okay.
If it takes less than 2 minutes, then your grind is really coarse. If it takes more than 5 minutes, your grind is really fine.
Okay. Okay.
Anybody else have questions? Welcome to New York, everybody, by the way. Peter,
Thanks,
I
Mike.
know your face. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Chris, another resource for you that I was thinking about when Mike was talking was there's a website called brewmethods.com, and it is it's actually curated by one of the main volunteers for Coffee Commons. But anyway, what he does is collect all the brewing videos that coffee people make, like instructional videos.
Right.
And just by taking a little while and browsing through these videos that usually are between 2 and 10 minutes in length, they'll give you a good sense. I did one recently where I showed the texture of coffee and talked about what Mike was talking about, weighing your beans before you grind it and stuff like that. I'll put the link for that one in the chat. But brewmethods.com has, I'll put that link in the chat too. Brewmethods.com has probably 20 or 30 of these videos that all are instructional and probably a good resource for what you're wanting to do.
Thanks.
No worries.
Yep. So we were talking about Aeropresses and Chemexes. There's links to different methods of brewing for all these different devices. It's actually a great resource. I'm glad Peter reminded me. You guys want a tour?
Yeah. I haven't seen it yet, man.
Let's go for a little walk. You guys still hear me all right?
John, is that you, man? I barely recognized you with the beard.
He doesn't recognize you.
Yeah, I know.
This is the station they're introing everybody to the coffees. That's Matt. He's brewing B60s.
As well as TV coffee roasters and counterculture.
Great, thanks. This is our coat rack. It snowed. Everybody's wearing boots. This is our methods bar.
This is about technique over here.
So you can have any coffee that you'd like, brewed by any method that you'd like. There's Kyle.
Wow.
Peter G. So Kyle's walking somebody through an Aeropress right now. Hi.
Hey, man. You drinking coffee?
You drinking coffee? Coffee's good? This is Amber.
Miss Amber Sather, Ms. Meister.
Meister. These guys are brewing coffees with the Chemex, and they're taking two very different coffees, and they're exploring how the addition of milk and sugar affects change differently in different coffees. Yes.
Nice. Okay.
And there's snow.
No.
Very cold. All right. Anybody have any more questions?
Yeah, I've got a question. In terms of amount of coffee beans to grind for a cup of coffee, say in an Aeropress, is there a selective weight that you would use for a cup?
Yep, absolutely. The standard formula, good starting point for almost any brew method, is 60 grams of coffee for every liter of water that you're using. So you can cut that out however you want. 30 grams of coffee with 500 grams of water. 15 grams of coffee with 250 water, which is, 10, 11 ounces or so. That's about a cup. So generally, for a mug of coffee, you're looking at about 15 grams of coffee. And then you can adjust that to taste. If you're using that formula and the coffee is not tasting very good, that's also a very good indication that your grind needs to be adjusted.
Oh, okay.
60 grams per liter. That's the golden rule. And you can adjust it a little bit to taste however you want, of course, up or down. But that's a good starting point.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Water is important. Make sure you get your water hot enough. Aeropress is actually one device that likes a little bit cooler. I find that I use water that's about a minute off the boil. I boil my water. I open my kettle and let it just hang out for a minute while I grind my coffee. And then I brew my coffee. Most of the other devices like Chemex, B60, I'm using water that's pretty much close to 210, 204. somewhere north of 200 for sure. Any other questions?
What's the perfect grind for Aeropress?
Grind, I like to use a pretty fine grind personally. I wish I could tell you that I could give you some universal code to help translate my grind size to your grind size, but it feels like kosher salt, maybe a little bit finer than kosher salt is what I use. You ever do a lot of cooking and you're grabbing salt and throwing it into the pan? Somewhere between kosher salt and like a sandy beach is about what it feels like between my fingers. Generally speaking, it would be considered a fine grind for a drip home coffee machine. But if it feels a bit like sand, you're in the right neighborhood. If it feels more rocky, you're a little bit too coarse. If there's big chunks, you're closer to French press. The other dripper, like a Chemex, it's a little bit easier to gauge because you can use time, how long it takes the water to pass through. Because the finer the grind, the slower the longer it'll take for the water to pass through. But the Aeropress isn't a gravity-fed device that uses pressure, so you can't use that, unfortunately. Where are you calling from?
I'm in Hermosa Beach, California.
Nice. Awesome.
Little warmer here than where you are.
It's cold and slushy here.
Is it raining up there in Hermosa? It is down here in San Diego.
Yeah, it's clearing up right now.
Yeah,
We
good.
had some rain this morning. Not used to it around these parts.
Yeah. What roaster do you buy from?
I get coffee from two places. Doma Coffee out of Idaho, and then the Liga Masiva, the girls in Washington Heights, New York.
What's that? I don't know about that one.
Liga Masiva. That's the two girls in Washington Heights, New York that do. It's all direct trade. They work with farm collectives in Dominican Republic.
Awesome.
Cool.
We do a lot, and that's I have an accidental retail shop in Hermosa Beach, and we actually sell some coffee goods. So we not only do I drink it, we sell the Doma coffee and the Liga Masiva as well.
You sell these?
Yeah, we sell the Aeropress. I'm a big Chemex user myself, and we sell Chemex, and everyone started coming in, and they were like, Aeropress, and so we started selling those right before Christmas, and they're just like, we sell a couple a day. I haven't used it myself yet, but people are just like, people are using it, raving about it, and it kind of sells itself, and then when you just tell someone about it, they love it.
I like it for a couple of reasons. I like to be able to just toss it in a bag and go away for the weekend. It's pretty durable. I don't have to worry about it shattering. But I use it at home a lot too because I often have coffee from 3 or 4 different roasters in my kitchen, and if I make a big Chemex, then I'm not going to want to make more than one.
Right.
It's plenty of coffee. But if I make an Aeropress, I can make 2 or 3 coffees pretty easily and not overdo it.
And is there I think I haven't keep meaning to Google it, but I keep hearing about an inverted method.
Yeah, that's my method. It just refers to you haven't used it at all. Have you?
I keep doing. I've watched a couple videos, and I show people how to use it, but I actually haven't used it myself yet.
The brewmethods.com website has a couple different versions of Aeropress videos on it, but essentially what it is it's designed originally where you would fill this chamber with coffee and place it on top of your mug.
Right.
And then you would add water in the top and plunge it down.
Right.
What I do personally is start like this, upside down. So I add the coffee in the top, add the water, and then I stir it. But what that allows you to do is brew it for a minute for 2 minutes or 3 minutes, whatever your preference is, before flipping it onto my mug and pressing down.
Gotcha.
Inverted method is a fancy way to say that we're using it upside down.
Right. Yeah.
The
And is it
the biggest advantage is being that you can.
I haven't tasted it myself. Does it have a? Is it comparable? Is it a bit stronger, kind of like a stovetop espresso in a way, or?
No, it's more like a filtered brewed cup of coffee, like a V60 pour over. It's a pour over. It tastes similar to a pour over or any other filtered coffee, really.
Gotcha.
It's
one of the
sort of
reasons
a misnomer that people. Go ahead, Peter.
Well, I was just going to say, one of the reasons coffee people really love the Aeropress, because one of the challenges of using a filter, like a pour-over filter, like a Chemex or a V60 or anything, any sort of Mr. Coffee thing, is the water is kind of flowing through all the time.
Right.
So you've got to get your timing and a bunch of things right. In a brewer like a French press, say, you put the water in and all the coffee in at the same time. It just kind of steeps in there by itself, and the only thing you have to control is time, not flow. So that makes it easier. But the problem with a French press is you get little bits of invariably you get little bits of sediment. Yeah.
There's less room for error with the Aeropress.
Exactly. It kind of captures the best of those two methods. There's a paper filter there, and there's that kind of immersion steeping that makes it easy. So it makes it sort of the most, in many ways, it's a foolproof way to brew coffee.
Yeah.
But it seems to be, there's two camps about it. There's lots of people too that are uncomfortable with it because it's made of plastic,
Right.
And so there's that piece of it, which is one of the cool things about brewing methods. There's all these different ones to choose from, and it's almost like a parlor game. What fits your personality?
No. Well, and it's kind of, they all kind of serve their purpose too. The Aeropress could be perfect during the week, and the Chemex could be, nice for Saturdays or after dinner when the guests are over, type thing.
Totally. Yeah.
What's the clever dripper? What's the deal with that?
That's actually very similar to what Peter was just saying. It's a combination of a filtered drip coffee, but it's also got the added benefit of the full immersion. So you have water and coffee in full contact for as much time as you want, and then there's a little, you place it on top of a mug, and there's a little release that releases a plug in the bottom, and the water drips through the filter. So it's V-shaped.
Right.
You add coffee, you add a filter, and you add coffee, you add the water, and you brew it for as long as you want, 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes, whatever the case may be, and then you place it on top of a mug, which releases the plug.
I got you. So it's not dripping through like traditional pour over does.
Right. It looks just like a pour over, but the water does not pass through the bottom until you want it to.
Until you want it to. Interesting.
Yep.
What coffees do you guys like to buy?
I like to buy. I buy what's fresh generally. I try to keep up with my. There's a ton of coffee out there, and there are a ton of roasters, and everybody's got great coffee sometimes, and it's really hard to keep up with all of it. The best thing I would recommend for you is to develop a relationship with the people that are roasting it and get to know the sort of things that they're thinking about and get inside their heads a little bit, and why they chose certain coffees, and why they didn't choose others, and what's super fresh, what just came off the boat, what's been sitting around for a while. So generally I like all coffees. It's hard to pick just one. I like all roasters, but I try to just stay with the fresh stuff. keeping it local is great.
Speaking of local, is Peter? That's Peter in the glasses, right?
Yeah, that's
Yep.
me.
Peter, you're in San Diego. Are you a big fan of Panikins down there?
Well, yeah, actually, I got my first coffee job in 1987 at the Panikin in Encinitas.
Oh, very cool.
And I used to run the Panikin in the early 90s.
Oh, very cool. I like to, I drive down to that little surf spot at Beach Park or something like that near Encinitas, Lucadia.
Yeah, at Swami's?
Down towards that way, but it's a little more family-friendly spot, but
Yeah.
it's like a minute away from Panikins there.
Yeah, right on. That's the shop that I worked at between like 1987 and 1994.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So
They roast, right?
yeah, they started roasting. But they only start. Well, Panikin's an interesting story because it was one of the early kind of specialty coffee guys. They started in 1968. You know, that's before Starbucks, and so they were one of the early kind of specialty coffee roasting pioneers. They started roasting at that location that you're talking about in like 2003.
Very cool.
That company is a part of specialty coffee history for sure.
Very cool.
Cool. Yeah. Well, if you guys don't have any more questions, I'm going to head back into the crowd.
Thanks,
Mike.
For some more coffees. Thanks for hanging out, guys.
Appreciate you guys doing this. I think just as someone that sells coffee at a retail level, I see more and more every day people coming in and they want whole beans. They don't want stuff already grounded.
Awesome.
And they don't want to buy from Starbucks. So there's definitely people are getting smarter about coffee, and I love seeing what you guys are doing.
Thanks.
Right
Great.
on, man.
That's awesome.
Hey, thanks for all your help. I appreciate it. Thanks for being so innovative.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you. Thanks for caring. Thanks, guys. Take it easy.
Peace out, guys.